The rise and fall of a legend. A single man, 1,000 battles, one empire that shook the world. This is the true story of Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who rose from the shadows of Corsica to rule all of Europe. Welcome to our channel, where history comes alive. Today, we dive into the incredible journey of one of the greatest military minds in human history. Stay till the end to uncover the secrets behind his dramatic rise and shocking fall. Corsica to France. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, just a year after France had taken control of the island from Genoa. He was born into a minor noble family, but they were far from wealthy. Napoleon's father, Carlo Buonaparte, was an attorney who secured a scholarship for young Napoleon to study in mainland France. From an early age, Napoleon stood out. Not because he was charming or popular, he wasn't, but because of his sharp mind, unmatched discipline, and burning ambition. He trained as an artillery officer in the French military and graduated from the École Militaire in Paris in 1785 at just 16 years old. But France was on the brink of revolution. The monarchy was crumbling, and chaos was spreading. While the nobility fell, a young and obscure Corsican soldier saw opportunity. Rise through the ranks. Napoleon's breakthrough came during the siege of Toulon in 1793. Royalist forces had taken control of the city, and Napoleon, still in his early 20s, proposed a bold artillery plan that led to a decisive Republican victory. For this, he was promoted to brigadier general. Soon after, in 1795, he famously defended the revolutionary government against royalist insurgents in Paris using what he called a whiff of grape-shot, grape-sized cannonballs that scattered the crowd. This act saved the government and elevated him into the public eye. He became a hero of the revolution. More importantly, he caught the attention of powerful political leaders, including one of France's new rulers, Paul Barras. The Italian campaign, the making of a legend. In 1796, Napoleon was given command of the French army in Italy. What happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. He turned a disorganized and poorly supplied army into a victorious force, defeating the powerful Austrian Empire repeatedly across Italy. He didn't just win battles, he won hearts and minds. He used propaganda, newspapers, and portraits to make himself a household name across France. His soldiers adored him, his enemies feared him. One quote defines his ambition during this period: "You must not fight too often with one enemy, or you will teach him all your art of war." By 1797, he had effectively forced Austria to make peace. France's borders expanded, and Napoleon returned as a national hero. The Egyptian campaign, fame and failure. In 1798, Napoleon turned his sights to the east. He invaded Egypt, hoping to disrupt British trade routes to India. Though he won at the Battle of the Pyramids, his fleet was destroyed by the British under Admiral Nelson at the Battle of the Nile. The campaign was both a military failure and a scientific success. He brought with him scholars and scientists who studied Egyptian culture and discovered the Rosetta Stone, the key to decoding ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. By 1799, political instability in France gave Napoleon a new opportunity, and he took it. The coup of 18 Brumaire, the rise to power. On November 9, 1799, 18th Brumaire in the revolutionary calendar, Napoleon carried out a bloodless coup and overthrew the French Directory. He became first consul of France. This marked the end of the French Revolution and the beginning of Napoleon's personal rule. Just 5 years later, in 1804, he crowned himself Emperor of the French in a grand ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, with the Pope watching, symbolizing that he owed his power to no one but himself. He was no longer just a general. He was France itself, the Napoleonic Wars master of Europe. Over the next decade, Napoleon transformed Europe through war. His greatest victories include Austerlitz 1805, known as the Battle of the Three Emperors, where he crushed the Austrian and Russian armies; Jena Auerstedt 1806, where he demolished the Prussian army; Friedland 1807, against Russia, forcing Tsar Alexander I to sign the Treaty of Tilsit. He redrew the map of Europe, created client states, and spread revolutionary ideals. He established the Napoleonic Code, a unified legal system that influences laws even today. At his height, Napoleon ruled an empire that stretched from Spain to Poland. He was unstoppable, or so it seemed. The Russian disaster, the beginning of the end. In 1812, Napoleon made his greatest mistake. He invaded Russia with the largest army Europe had ever seen, over 600,000 men. At first, he advanced quickly. But the Russians kept retreating, burning their own cities and supplies, including Moscow. When winter hit, Napoleon's army froze, starved, and was picked off by disease and raids. Only around 100,000 survived. The Russian campaign shattered his image of invincibility. Fall and exile to Elba. After the disaster in Russia, other European powers united against him. He lost the Battle of Leipzig in 1813, the Battle of Nations. By 1814, Paris fell. Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the island of Elba. He was given a small kingdom, but he wasn't done yet. The 100 Days in Waterloo. In 1815, Napoleon escaped from Elba and returned to France. In what became known as the 100 Days, he reclaimed power without firing a shot. The people welcomed him back. The king fled, but Europe moved fast. Britain and Prussia gathered their forces. On June 18, 1815, at the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon met his final defeat at the hands of the Duke of Wellington and Field Marshal Blucher. His army broke, his dreams shattered, Napoleon was captured, final exile and death. This time, the Allies didn't make the same mistake. They exiled him to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic. There, surrounded by a handful of loyal followers, Napoleon lived his final years writing memoirs and reflecting on his legacy. He died on May 5, 1821, possibly from stomach cancer, though theories about poisoning still exist. He was just 51. Conclusion: the legacy of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon's story is one of genius and ambition, of glory and downfall. He changed warfare, governance, and European identity. Loved by many, hated by others, he remains a symbol of human greatness and human limits. His legacy lives on in the laws he wrote, the legends he inspired, and the questions he left behind. Was he a tyrant, or a visionary? A warmonger, or a reformer? One thing's for sure, history will never forget his name. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what historical figure you want us to cover next. Thank you for watching, and remember, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it.